Welcome to TigerComp. We're looking at Word 9, which is the last main lesson in Word. While there are other features in this program, this is the one we're going to stop with for our series, and hopefully with everything you've learned, you'll be able to figure things out if you would ever need some of the things found in mailings or references or different things like that. Then, today our big lesson is all about tabs, and as you look at your keyboard, right next to the letter Q you see the word tab, and we're kind of really talking about that button and how it works together with our ruler and with a document and different things like that. Now, tabs have to deal with indenting and making that space. So if I were to press tab, you see how my cursor moves in that little bit, and you can kind of see these little hash marks up here on the ruler mark, and those can be very, very important to determining where you want your tabs. And usually you have a 1/2 inch is the default tab, and over here in the corner you can see it's a left tab, and that's also usually the default tab that is set. And it's very, very common to use, but there are all these different options available that can become really, really useful when it comes to using and creating different types of Word documents. And so we're going to look at all of these different ones. So the left tab is pretty simple. You have that 1/2 inch indent, and when you put the left one in, your words are going to come from the left and move to the right, and kind of what you're used to typing. Right? Now, if I were to change my tab to a center tab, right, and I'm going to press tab now. Actually, let's, oops. I'm going to go back to center and see how I just, oh, I'm doing a wonderful job, right? You can see, I clicked right here and you can see that I inserted a center tab there. And when I press tab, it goes right to that spot and it's centered. And basically that means that it's centered aligned. And so you know how center alignment works from past experiences, and it's going to kind of spread the letters out evenly from the left and the right. And as you also notice, I kind of put it right here. It doesn't have to be exactly in the center of the paper, but it can actually be anywhere on the paper, which really makes it useful. All right. Then the right tab, of course, is the opposite of left tab. It's kind of like right alignment, right? And when I have that, and I'll put one in here. And so if I put that tab right there, so now my cursor is going to start here. And you can see how the letters move to the left, starting on the right, and we have that right tab, right? Very important when it comes to different kinds of headings, numbers, dates. I'm sure as you've gotten used to using headers in different classes, you've used some of these different tabs probably without even knowing it. All right. Now the decimal tab is one not as commonly used, but it can be important if you're working with numbers and stuff within a Word document, and this is really going to line up all your decimal numbers. Pretty self-explanatory, and I'll just throw a couple numbers in there, and you can see that, right? You can see how those decimals just keep lining up, and right, you see how that cursor just stops right there, right at the decimal point, and then if I put a decimal point, right, it continues on and it goes like that, and it's going to line things up until you get to the edge of the page, and then it's gonna fight you a little bit there. All right, but for the most part, you're not going to have a number like this, and so that shouldn't be an issue. Right? And then this last tab is called the bar tab. Creates a real straight vertical line, and it used to be pretty important. Now when we start moving things around, pictures and stuff, right, you see those lines appear. Those are called drawing lines. And so we're not going to worry about the bar tab too much in this lesson, but definitely important just to know what that one is. Then As you notice, when you set your tabs, there's a couple different ways to do it. But if we go back to our default tab, right, it's always a left, right? Even though it says this little symbol just means I can insert this type of tab really quickly. And let's see if I can get to the left align. But the left align is automatically set. And when we set our tabs, because it's the default, it's always going to keep coming back in that way. But if I want to change the default, let's say I type these two paragraphs and then I get to this point and now I want all the words to come from the right. So I want a right tab. All right, now these words have already been typed and so they're under the default tab there. But tabs work in a similar way that columns do. Remember, columns, if I highlight just this, only this will turn into columns, right? If I highlight everything on the page, every single line, that means it's applying to the entire page. And so tabs are going to work in the same way. So if I set my tabs and I say, okay, from this point on, I want all right alignment. And if I click right here, every time I press tab now, it's automatically going to come from the right. Even if I go here now, where I have this stuff, right? If I press tab, right, this is going back to that default left tab that was set. All right, and that's why it works in that way. All right, we're going to talk about how to set the tabs so they work in the way we want them to. All right, and so we have this different idea. Now you've already seen me start to play around with how to insert tabs. Right, I can choose a symbol from here. Once I've chosen the symbol, then I can go into my ruler and just click once and that tab has been set automatically, right? And it's going to apply to that line that I just set that in. And you can put multiple tabs in a line, right? And I can, same ones to line things up in a very neat way. All right, and you can insert all these tabs and you can figure out exactly where the number marks are, and it works. And you can do some neat things with it as you start working with it. You can see, let me add some tabs, right? So I'll put a left tab there, and then I'm going to put a center tab there, and I'm going to put a right tab there, and so you can see, press it once, put an A there, press it twice. Now I'm going to be on a center tab, so you can see how it's working in a center way. All right, center. You can see it moving in that way, all still centered right from that point. Then if I press tab again, now it's coming all the way over here on the right, and you're going to see, I'm just typing random words. Hopefully you recognize that, and it's following those rules. And if I press enter, you can see they all stayed there up at the top, and those rules are going to continue on for the rest of this document, unless I change them, right? If I suddenly get rid of this and say, okay, you can see how I got rid of that. I just kind of dragged it down real quick, and now it's gone, right? If I press tab once, there it is. I pressed tab twice, look, and went all the way over here to the right, right? And so you can do some pretty powerful things with the tab. Now that's if you go right into it and you choose it yourself and you put them up there and you use it in that way. All right, so that's kind of I'm going to say it's the shortcut method of doing it. I think as you learn how to use this, you're going to find out that one way is going to suit you better than the other. And the more and more you use this, if you need to just do something real quick, I'd say use this method. But if you're going to do a large document, we're going to do it like this. We're going to go to paragraph settings, right? Paragraph settings. And then once you get in this window, we're actually going to down here to this option where it says tabs. And we get this really cool window just like this. So right now we have our default tab stops, right? That's what it's called when you put those little symbols up here in the ruler. Those are called tab stops. And what I can do now is I can see lots of different options that I really didn't have before, right? I still have my left alignment, my center alignment, my right alignment, my decimal, my bar. Those are those 5 alignments that you can see right here on the screen. But now what I'm able to do is I have this new thing called leaders that I'm able to add. All right, leaders means, once you press tab, what are you going to see in front of where your cursor is now? Let me show you, right? If I just throw that down, I just click OK. When I press tab now, oh, let's go back and let's set a tab. All right. I'm just going to do 0.75 or 76 because I didn't type well. Then I click set, and so I set that tab in there. It's a left alignment tab. I click OK, and suddenly you can see that when I go and press tab on my board, right, here's my cursor right here blinking, telling me where I'm typing, and in front of it, what's leading it are, these are called dot leaders. And so you have these different options there. So you can have none, you can have dot leaders that look like different points, you can have dash leaders, and then you can have just a straight underline type leader also. All right. I'm going to clear all of these. What becomes really cool about this little menu here is the fact that you can use it to set multiple tabs. So let's say I want to set a left tab. I don't want a leader, so I don't want anything to appear in front of it, and I want that to come at 1 inch. Right, so I type that in and then I click set. Now let's say in the same line I'm going to put a second tab. All right, when I press tab the second time, it's going to go to a different spot, kind of like I did in the preview just a little bit ago. But this time I want a dot leader. All right, so I want a dot leader, so I'm going to click there. I want it to be center aligned. Right, and if I click set now, let's say I want it to come at 3.5 inches. All right, so that's 3.5. That should be right here. And now I click set. Now it comes into the box there. And let's say let's add one more tab just for demonstration. I'm going to do an underline tab. Let's going to make it a decimal. Let's say we're going to use some numbers. I'm going to have it come right at the 6-inch mark. So that's going to be over here. And I'm going to click set. And now all three of these are set right there into the box. And now when I click OK, you can see they instantly appear. 1, 2, 3. Right? And I can type some words now. Right? I can type a name if I wanted. Right? And now when I press tab, you can see it went to center align just like I wanted. I can double check on my tabs, right? I can even go back and look at them. I forgot to put the dot leaders in there. That's what I was looking for. I was like, I thought I clicked that. All right, I'll click set there. I'm going to double check I actually moved this to underline. All right, now those are all set. Okay, see, there's the dot leaders, and now I can type, let's say, a last name, or I could type a phone number, right? 555, because that's not a real number. 234, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. And then if I press tab again, right, there's the underline leader, and now I can have a decimal number here, and whether it's money or anything like that, I can do that. And then when I go to my next line, right, press tab, I can enter a new name, right? Okay, you see how the line went all the way here because this is where the center tab is, and now as I start typing up a phone number, it's going to start spreading out in the way that I need it to, and then I press tab again, and now I can once again enter something with a dot leader, and everything's lined up real nice. It's matching, looks real good, fancy, in a very nice way. Now you may be looking at this video right now and saying, do I have to make mine look like that? And the answer is no, you don't. All this stuff that I typed, this is all part of the tutorial. This is just showing you how it works. Your assignment, as you make your way to the tutorial, you can reread all the different sections, right? I just talked about how this box worked. Here's that section option, how to do those different things. And finally, when you get to the third page, you get your assignment, right? And so you have this picture, It describes, shows you exactly what kind of tabs I want you to put into it. And you can use either method. You can use the go to paragraph and go to tabs, or you can try and click it up here, right? Realize that this is a decimal type tab right here. Here's the information that you need to be able to work with this, and you're going to plug it in so it looks exactly like this. So basically I'm looking for a document that just has this little bit of information, all right? And you're working with this. You're going to show me that you understand what I was doing in the video. Now, at the end, it does give you one last clue to make sure you're actually doing the tabs the right way. You're not just pressing period, 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 and then Control U for underline. I can look and see, did you actually press tab? And that's by going up to this button right here, where it's your show hide button, and it kind of shows you all the symbols. This symbol means enter. This arrow means tab. And so I can look and I can see, okay, if there's an arrow right here, that means this is a tab. It's not just you pressing period lots of different times or underlining right here. I can see the tab arrow. And a lot of people, as you're working with this the first time, find this very useful to use this symbol to help you understand, am I doing this correctly? Am I actually pressing tab? Am I making it look the right way? Right? When you're done, you can turn them off and it looks much cleaner, much neater. And so that's what you're going to be doing, right? So if you haven't picked up a copy of this, you're definitely going to need it. If not, you can access it on Office 365 in the shared documents. Remember, go to your OneDrive, go to the search box, look for Word 9, and you should be able to find it. All right. You got 1 week to get this finished, and then of course, since this is the end, that means it's time for that final test to work with Microsoft Word. And if you think about our last 3 units, we've been working with last 3 lessons, now we're adding in tabs. We're going to talk about tables. There's going to be some stuff in there, and in the end I'm going to go one step further, and this isn't just a review of 7, 8, and 9, but it's actually going to cover everything we've covered from 1 through 9, including the A and B stuff you learned, those lessons that I created. All of the stuff that you've worked with so far is going to be applied in this final test. And so if there's anything you need to go back and review and watch, don't be afraid to watch the videos that have been created for this, or look at some of the other things, making sure you understand your margins, make sure you understand headers, footers, making sure you understand columns, inserting pictures, moving pictures around, and then of course now the table stuff and tab stuff. All right, that's it for Word 9. Have fun. Pursue excellence.